Welcome back. The political news in full. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi participated in a session entitled Promoting Food Security and Systems in the course of the three-day U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit in Washington. Addressing the session, the president noted that the international statistics put leaders in front on their responsibilities, given the increasing number of people who suffer from lack of food security, reaching 800 million people in 2022. President Sisi viewed Egypt's vision of enhancing food security in Africa based on a number of axes, the most prominent of which is the impact of international crisis, particularly external debts, and introducing the mechanism to alleviate the burden of these debts. The president also asserted the significance of intensifying agriculture investments in Africa in order to develop its production and storage capacity. The head of state stressed that there is a close link between the food and water security, pointing out that Egypt considers this as a national security. The president also called for establishing a legal framework to define the course of ties between the countries sharing water resources. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi voiced appreciation for the strategic ties binding Egypt and the United States and hailed the increasing activities of U.S. companies operating in Egypt. The president made these remarks as he took part in a dinner banquet held by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce at his honor, marking 100 years of establishing official ties between the two countries. The dinner included an open dialogue with representatives of the U.S. business community who showed interest in their expanding activities in Egypt. The president meanwhile reiterated Egypt's keen interest in establishing continued contact with investors in order to tackle the obstacles facing their work in Egypt, pointing out to the important role that the private sector could play in this regard. The attendees lauded the progress of Egypt's economic reform efforts, particularly the procedures taken to promote the investment atmosphere in the country. Presidential spokesman Bassem Radi said that the president's participation in the U.S.-African Leaders Summit reflects Egypt's keen interest in enhancing the joint African action. In exclusive remarks to the state television on the president's activities in Washington, the spokesman added that the summit affirms the increasing attention that Africa is gaining at the international arena. Radi said President el-Sisi's visit to Washington comes in the framework of strong extended ties binding the two nations based on common interest and mutual respect. Welcome back, and now with the business news in full. Egypt's stock market indices rose during last week's sessions, gaining to £22.2 billion. The market's capital for companies listed in the bourse reached £973.5 billion, gaining 2.3%. The bourse's weekly report showed that benchmark EGX 30 index rose by 2% to reach 15.141 points. Medium capped EGX 70 was up by 4.97% to reach 2.864 points. The broader EGX 100 gained 4.84% to reach 4.214 points.